Hey everybody. Hi, I'm making some custom orthotics. And this pair is for me. It's kind of a demo pair actually. I'm going to wear them for a week or two and then just get them worked in, broken, and then I'll use them as a demo pair, a pair to show to people. So this could be like an ASMR tape because it's very peaceful to watch me making orthotics, isn't it? I wonder if anyone's watching me. Give me a shout out, y'all. I've got 4 viewers. That's exciting. Can you guys see what I'm doing here? Oh, yeah, that looks pretty good. So I've got the pattern that I made from the inserts of my shoes, and I put it on the leather, and then I draw all around it, and then I cut it out. Now, I've already done that with the rubber. There's really a lot that goes into these. It's taken me years of practice to get good at making them. And it's just about time to go buy some more leather. Starting to get low. And it's not easy to cut this leather. Okay. So this is what I start with. A left and right rubber and a left and right leather. Now I'm going to put them together with a couple of zippers. I've got to determine the positioning of the zippers. And that is not a very specific thing. That's just kind of a guesstimate, just from having made them many times. I know that they need to be right about there, give or take a quarter of an inch or so. So now I just make a mark on the top and then a mark on the bottom. And then I have to duplicate that on the opposite side. It's got to be exact. And when I put these together and I glue them together, they have to match. So now I want the opposite side to be exactly the same. I'm going to duplicate the opposite side now. Now I'm going to duplicate the rubber for the opposite side. Okay, so now I need to scribe a channel onto the top of the leather. I'm going to do a little tester first to make sure that this is the right width. Yeah, that's pretty good. It could be maybe a hair closer. Yeah, just right. Okay, so now I'm going to scribe a little channel from one line, just past one line, all the way to the other one. Now we'll do the same thing with the other one. Okay. Now we're going to sew the zipper onto the leather. I need to get as much light as I can get to be able to see good. And the first thing that I've got to do here is change the thread over to the heavy duty nylon thread. Okay, and now I've got to switch my needle over to a 16 from a 14. This is a 1975 Sears Kenmore, made in Japan. The Japanese are excellent machinists, builders, perfectionists. Now we've got to put the right bobbin thread in. The heavy nylon. Now we draw that up like so. And we are ready to go. Got to get my slippers on. Hey guys, I just realized it's 3 o'clock and I've got to feed the chickens. That'll take me about 1 minute, so just hang loose, okay? I got to feed the chickies. There's a bird by the window. He knows that it's feeding time. Oh, he went running. He knows I discovered him and that it's time to feed, and he better get his ass out there or he won't get any food. Let him suffer. Okay, so a bunch of the birds that got on the porch, I hopped over the porch. Now they can't get off because the fence is there, and they're having to watch the other birds eat the food. And they can't get off the porch now because the fence is there because they flew over it onto the porch. So I'm just going to leave them there and let them learn their lesson. We'll have to go hungry. Okay, so now we're going to set the tension right on the upper thread. Setting the tension right on the upper thread. We get this leather in there and get it lined up perfect. I always double check it from above. It's a hair off. Okay, we got to get all the settings right. Everything's got to be right. always like to get that zipper out of my way as soon as possible, but you don't want to wait. You don't want to do it prematurely. Alright, I'm going to snip the ends. Then I'm going to go over it a second time just to make sure that it's strong and not going to come undone. Oftentimes I like to do my seams over twice to make sure that we're all good. Okay. And there we go. There's one zipper on. Now I'm going to put the rubber on that. And so now we put the rubber on the opposite way. Put the rubber on the inside. With the leather, we sew it from the top because we want that seam to be right in the channel that I cut. Okay, so now I need to make sure that this one is in the exact same place to the mark that I made as the leather, so that when I match them together, they're a perfect match. So I have to see exactly where this one is and compared to the comparison to the mark, and then get this one exactly the same. And this is not always easy. But that looks pretty good right there. Now we have to change up here, we have to change the foot pressure for the rubber, because sewing rubber is a whole different deal than sewing leather. You don't want too much foot pressure because it makes it stick to the table too much. Whenever you're joining something left and right, it's not always easy. Especially when I'm talking and filming at the same time. Luckily, I've done this enough that I can handle it. Okay, now I'm going to get that zipper past and out of my way again. Make sure that it's fully stitched right on the end there. And there we go. Let's see how I did. Zip it and match it and see if the ends are matched good. Okay, they're just a little bit off, but not bad. Actually, they're real close. There is a degree of play. There's a degree of play that you have to work, that you can work with when you got to glue them together and then sew them. And that's really, really close. So now I'm going to sew the other one together. I'll get you a little closer this time. Okay, so we match it up right on the mark. Put the head down. And once again, now that I'm sewing leather, I have to change the tension on the foot. And when I sew, I have to stay right in that channel. You see the channel that I cut out? That's so that the thread so that that's so that the thread, the seam of the thread is right in that channel, and that prevents that thread from getting chafed from their foot and then getting damaged. It's got to be what's the word? Receded. It's got to be receded into the leather so that it doesn't get chafed, worn out from their foot pressure. And this has to be done like slow so that you don't mess up. Okay, so there's my zipper put on my leather. Now once again, I'll match the leather to the rubber. Lower the foot pressure. Maneuver the rubber into position. Unzip the zipper. And check the position of the zipper to this mark so that I can get it exactly the same as the other one. It's very similar to the other one, to the left foot. Okay. That should be pretty good. That's a little bit beyond the mark, and that one's also just a hair beyond. Okay. Don't want to have any major screw-ups while I'm doing this live on YouTube. That can happen. Sometimes I will screw up. You know, I'm only human. Now, let's see. Why did that do that? Okay, so let's see how this one matched up. Oh, this one matched up really, really good. Both of them are good. Okay. So now we're gonna figure out where the seams are gonna be for the first time. We have to do that twice. When we figure out the seams for the orthotics, we're gonna do that initially when we glue them together, and then we're gonna do it again when I actually sew the seams on the outside. That part is more important than the other. And then I glue them together with latex. I don't glue them with some freaking glue. I stick them together with natural liquid latex, which is tree rubber. Natural, you know, just like they tap the trees, the rubber trees, and this white liquid comes out of there. That's what it looks like. It's just white liquid but it dries clear. Unless they put a pigment in there. Okay, so next I take a foot pattern. And you know what? Crap, I don't even have a foot pattern. So what I'm going to do is take one of my other orthotics, and this will get it in the ballpark. So I'll make a mark there. I'll make a mark there. See this seam here? This is an important seam that keeps the holes in this pouch here. Well, see how much support you get? Oops, sorry. See how much support you get with these orthotics? These are the ones that I have in my bike shoes. And I've got about an inch of support in these. But it's this seam that I want to, these two seams. This one is pretty much cut and dry. Some crap in my throat today. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to make these orthotics with the same seam position as these bike ones, these bike orthotics of mine. And you'll notice these have Velcro on the bottom of them, and that's because my bike sandals are sandals. And they have to have Velcro holding them in. I want to double check the other ones to make sure I got the ends lined up right. Yeah, that looks good. This one's off a little bit. I don't have to be perfect with this. This one's good. Okay. So now we're going to glue them together. Oh, actually, first we're going to draw the seam for where the seams are supposed to be. Because we're not going to glue in the middle section here. We're just going to glue up here and in the back, obviously. So then I put a straight edge on there, and I put a center mark right there. And then I come up a certain amount that I think is good for these particular orthotics, and that's going to be 1 1/4 inch for these. So I make a mark there, and then this is the hand part, the hand-drawn part. And this comes from just experience, from having done this many, many times. I'm going to make a mark like this, and then it's going to come down on this side and going to curve right like that, so that I get that kind of a seam, because the metatarsals are here, and you want some millet holes to come up into the middle of the metatarsal area. There's an indentation in your foot right here where you want some support. And so I used to have these just going straight across, but then I realized that what I needed was some support up here in this metatarsal area. So now I hand draw this, and that's where that seam is going to be approximately. So now we're going to do the same thing on this other side. And I'm going to come up 1 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to hand draw this. Just like so. Now for the back one, I'm going to make this one 1.5 inches up from the back of the heel. 1.5 inches. Why does that not look the same? Oh, that one's 1 3/4 inches. Okay, we're making it 1 3/4 inches. Somewhere in that ballpark. The thing is that you just want to make sure that they're all the same. Just so that they match. Okay, so now I'm going to do the exact same thing with this side. See if I got any comments. I've got 6 viewers. How come nobody's commenting? You're supposed to comment something like, Brett, we love watching you make orthotics. This is the best thing all day. It's so much better than watching the impeachment trials. Even though we are really excited that President Trump is getting all this bad exposure, and hopefully he'll lose the election. So I'm just drawing where the seam is going to be. As long as I make the marks all the same, then they should come out similar. 1 3/4 on that. 1 3/4 on that. Draw a line across there. A line across there. And there we go. Now we're ready to glue them together. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get out my apron, because I don't want to get liquid latex on my clothes. So, got my little woodworker apron. You can see there's liquid latex on there. And I've got to get the clamps out and the wood whatchamacallit, cowls. They're called cowls. You got to get the clamps and the cowls out here. And over here is where I'll be doing the clamping. So I need to kind of move that out of the way and let's get this prepared. Well, we'll clamp right there. So I need a paper towel. Because I almost always spill a little bit. Oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. No, you're not disturbing me, man. Like I said, I've done this a lot, and I don't usually screw up. If I do screw up, I'll probably have a big tantrum over it. Okay, so this is something that I don't want to screw around with. You're all dirty. Look at that, you're all dirty. There. Is that better? You're dusty and dirty. I hope I didn't lose connection. Am I all still good here, you guys? Okay. So now I'm going to take the liquid latex and I'm going to apply it to both sides and stick them together. Now bear in mind, later we have to sew them both together because this is just a temporary hold and not strong. I mean, after it dries, it's probably somewhat strong, but we're not going to just rely on the liquid latex to glue these together. So the foam inserts that are in your shoes, that's made out of petroleum products, and those are not comfortable. They are not a good cushion. This yoga mat material, there we go, is super, super comfortable. The cushion for your heel here is excellent. That's because it's natural. Natural things are always better for you and healthy. And the leather stretches to conform perfectly to your feet. You just get a good amount of millet holes in there. And then you just keep adding some more here and there as you need more support. Oh, I'm so accurate today. Even though it's kind of a crappy day outside and cold, it's not near as cold as it was. And Chakra and I are doing fine. Okay, so there you can see that I've put glue on both sides, and now I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip it and match it perfect. Zip it up. Don't want any glue on the top. Want them nice and clean. That's why I have this, because there can be glue on the edges and it gets on your fingers. And then you transfer it onto the top, and that is bad. Okay, so there we go. I've got it perfectly matched all the way around. Now I'm just going to hold it for a little bit so that bonds and doesn't slip when I go to clamp it. Whenever I say clamp it, I always say something like, when I go to Jed clamp it. You know Jed clamp it? Everybody knows Jed Clampett, right? A man named Jed, a poor mountaineer, barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubbling crude. Oil, that is. Black gold. Texas tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. The kin folks said, Jed, move away from there. Said California is the place you want to be, so they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly Hills, that is. Swimming pools, movie stars. Okay, so there we go. There is the orthotic clamped to the edge of the table, minus the zipper. I don't want to damage the head of the zipper. The camera has a ladybug on it. See all my ladybugs? I'll have to capture them again. I've already put out about 100 of them today. Gave them to the chickens. Okay, let's do it again. You go back, Jack, do it again. Wheels turning round and round, you go back. Woo! Uncle Jed, isn't he Norwegian? I don't know. And you'd find you're back in Vegas with a handle in your hand. Your black money made you, your black cars, they made you money. And you put them, you hide them when you're able. In the land of milk and honey, you can put them on the table, yeah. You go back, Jack, do it again. Wheels turning round and round, you go back, Jack, do it again. Natalie had some suggestions for me for getting more traffic to my website. Thank you, Natalie. I don't know that I want to spend all that time doing all of that. I don't know that I have the time to do blogging and vlogging trades. But thanks for the suggestions anyway. Okay, so now I'm putting the right orthotic together. making sure that it is exactly matched. The rubber and the leather are perfectly matched up. That looks very good. Now I'm just going to hold it so that it's tacked good, and then we'll clamp it together. We'll jed clamp at it. Got a little bit of a headache today. Might have to do some kratom tea or something. Okay, let's clamp it. Okay, there they are. Clamped and ready to dry. So check it out. I got my logo stickers in the mail. We're going to put these little tags on my products. And with the leather orthotics, I'm going to latex them right to the bottom like that. And that will not come off of there. I also got a stamp from China. Check this out. I ordered this from China. It's a stamp that you heat up like a branding stamp. And I'm going to put a wooden handle on it. But you heat it up with a torch, probably a torch. And then you stamp it on leather or wood products. And it burns it like a wood burning kit. So that's what I've been doing lately. Just hanging in there. You know, the thing is that a lot of the things that I do, people see, and they're kind of, I think, intrigued or amused with them, but they really don't get it. You know, they don't really understand, like, oh, that looks nice, but it's more expensive than the cheap Chinese stuff that I really want to buy. So yeah, I can't really compete with them, nor am I in the same league with them. They're not in my league, you know. And so what I'm hoping is that there are people out there that appreciate things, natural things. They appreciate handmade things. They appreciate things that are well thought out instead of just a cookie cutter idea. And, you know, my pillows are better than a standard size pillow or a non-organic or a, you know, whatever. The shipping's better. Everything's better about them. So if you appreciate things that are better and you would like to patronize my channel because you know that this world has to have things that are made that are well thought out and are environmentally friendly, etc., then invest in somebody that's actually doing that. So I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I've got to let those dry for now. Maybe I'll come back later and show you the rest of the process or not. I'm not sure. I've got things to do. Thanks for joining me.